phone, like the orientation locked when I go sourcing, and so it was all locked up, and it told me I needed to rotate it, which is really annoying. I'm just writing down a couple of points. I just forgot the last one. Okay, for stream, but how are y'all doing today? I'm honestly really tired because we just finished up a shipment right now.
Hi, and welcome
10
back
minutes
to another
before.
Amazon selling video.
That would be annoying if that was on the whole time. Perfect. Yeah, so my shipment just finished. Just got a bunch of boxes. About $1,400 of buy cost. About $1,300 for the inventory, which is a big fat pain in the butt for me because I accidentally forgot to put the state that I was shipping it from, and so it said that I was shipping it from Alaska. I don't know why I'm waving at you with a French fry. But I'm a little out of it, so I'm a little hungry. Like I said in my post, and Erica, please try again later. Please come back. Oh, it disconnected my computer, no wonder. Wow, this is a great start. I'm not tired. The stream is going great, but I would love if this will work. Please be. Hey, it looks like it's live. It does. Okay. Oh my gosh, that was very nerve-wracking. I had to turn off my data and turn it back on, and now I'm too sweaty for wearing this, which is okay. That was okay. Cool. So I got a couple of ideas about what we want to chat about today. Whatever you guys want. Hello from Maryland. I was just there. It was gorgeous. Sergio, where are you in Maryland? I was in Baltimore. I say it's gorgeous, but I was mostly editing videos the time I was there. But yeah, we were in Baltimore for just a tiny bit, and then in DC, which I know isn't Maryland, but it's kind of close. But I'm thinking about LLC versus S Corp. Kind of my thoughts on that. Any questions you'd have? My timeline in doing all this. I'm definitely not a pro. I'm not like a tax pro in any of this, but I do have some serious thoughts. Frederick. Not gonna lie, I don't know where that is. I know like Montgomery County, but that's about it. So sorry. My timeline for like when I switch from a sole prop to an LLC, what that looks like, because starting up a business, you might need an LLC, but you also might not. And so we'll definitely get into that, what the tax implications are for the different types of business that you have. If you're doing a sole proprietorship, there are a couple things that you definitely need to be aware of, specifically like in your accounting and making sure that you're not commingling funds. And then personal credit cards for business use is one of the things. Cole, hi. I saw your message come through while I was freaking out because my stream just froze. Joanna, let's catch live. Sorry for not watching your lives on YouTube, but been hitting hard with Q4. That's great. If you're hitting hard with Q4, that's awesome. Yeah, no worries if you gotta do something else. But I think the first thing that we'll get into is just a general understanding of what an LLC versus an S corporation would be. I should have taken a picture of this. Maybe I can write in between these margins if it's small enough. I need another. Hey, sweet lift, Amy. I need another whiteboard. But also, if you hear any noises in the back, it's because we just did laundry today for like the first time in a couple of weeks. Nick is putting it all away because I had monopolized the whole space doing this shipment that I just finished up doing, which is why I'm a little flustered because I was meeting with a friend this morning and then getting the shipment done, and I had the source, and I finished shooting up a video, and all that always takes longer than I think, and they all ran over by like 50 to 100% of the time that I thought they were going to run over, so that's always fun. Sergio, you look like Pepita Higuain, Argentine player. I don't know which Higuain that is. There's so many Higuains who play right now in a bunch of different places, but I'll have to look that up. So LLC versus S Corp. Basically, when you're starting your business, we'll also put sole prop in here. So sole prop is just what it's basically sole proprietorship is what it stands for. That means that when you're running your business, you're using, forgot the I, the same legal name as you would be doing if, the same legal name as your personal legal name. Sorry, I'm sometimes getting messages in the chat there. I also have my laptop here, so I'm really bad at multitasking right now, to be honest. So if you're starting a business right now, this is probably the way that you're doing it. Even if you're just doing something as a hobby, the IRS, I'm pretty sure over $600, you're required to basically submit income paperwork as a Schedule C on your own tax form. And so sole proprietorship is how most people will get started running a business, especially if you don't have a lot of capital to start out with. That's how I started on Amazon. That's how I started on YouTube. It's how I started most of the things that I started. But if you're like branching one business off to another, you might start with another classification. The other main classifications are LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company. A lot of this might be stuff that you guys know, but I'm just going to cover some bases. And if you have any questions, let me know. About anything, honestly. These are just times that I enjoy because I get to hang out with you guys. But Limited Liability Company, essentially what that does is creates another tax ID instead of your own like social security number, and the responsibility of the business financially is held under that limited liability company. In order to make this happen, though, you have to make sure that you separate the funds that you use in the business, like transactions. You can't use the same bank account for your transactions if you're or if you have a limited liability company. You have to spread that one account for your limited liability company, LLC, one account for you personally, and you can't mix personal and business expenses. With a sole proprietorship, technically you can because you're still using your own name, but that's something that I really would warn against for a bunch of different reasons that we can get to down there. You guys were like, Cole, I had to switch to the computer. Yeah. So yeah, LLC, pretty basic. There are a bunch of different ways. Okay, I'm back up 1 second. A lot of times you'll also see LLPs, which stands for Limited Liability Partnership. I honestly don't quite know the difference with that, but a lot of times you'll see that with like professional firms, like law firms. They'll have LLPs, and when you hear of like someone making partner at a law firm, that's because they're getting an ownership stake in the LLP, the Limited Liability Partnership, and so that company has all the financial risk, or the majority of the financial risk. And so, for instance, if everything on Amazon was to go to crap for me, everything on YouTube was to go to crap, and I had a bunch of debts, we try to obviously manage our debts to make sure that it's nothing that is unmanageable and it can always get paid off in like a month or so. But if we had a massive amount of debts, then if I was to file for bankruptcy with the company, then I wouldn't have any of my personal assets taken, which right now is not a lot. It's like our IRAs and like a savings account, but all that would be shielded because we had it in the limited liability company, and that also includes things like suits. So if we were to get sued right now, luckily, because of a video I made a while back, we have business insurance from Amazon. So we have $1 million of general liability insurance. But if we were to get sued beyond that and we'd have to file for bankruptcy because we couldn't pay the suit, none of my personal assets would be affected by that. The thing with the LLC, though, is you have multiple different ways that LLCs can be taxed. You have taxed as an S Corp, which is, that was a great arrow. You have taxed as an S Corp. You have taxed, I think you can have it taxed as a C Corp. You can have it taxed basically called a pass-through LLC, where the liability is there, but all the taxes are basically like you're running a sole proprietorship. That's a single member LLC. Single member. And then also, like we have, our LLC, me and my wife, is an LLC taxed as a partnership because there's only two owners. You can have more than two owners, but we split 50-50 the business, and so we're an LLC taxed as a partnership. These other ones, the corporations, are a little bit different. And honestly, because I'm not a corporation, I've looked into this a lot, but not nearly as much as I know about LLCs. But the third major way that people run businesses are corporations, and there's the two main ones of those. Corporation. I thought that I was not spelling that right. The two main corporations are S Corps, which is probably what we'll end up rolling our business into when it starts to make enough money, and C Corps. I think I saw something from Cole who said he had a C Corp. Said, I have a C Corp, everything is separate for me, no mixing. Exactly. However, I have borrowed for myself and given myself reimbursements, but everything is accounted for. That's exactly right. That's how we do it as well. That's one of the ways that you're probably recommended if you want to use personal credit cards, which is something that we'll get to down here. That if you, when you're doing your accounting, you just account for that either as a liability owed to yourself. And we actually in QuickBooks have an account called owed to owners right now for like if we do like buy a meal out that we are able to expense or partially expense, we want the business to pay us back for that. I have an account in QuickBooks that's a liability account where basically it's called owed to owners, and we'll pay ourselves back. So before we actually get our paycheck from our company, we'll get paid back from our company because we paid for something personally that the business will owe. But you always have to make sure that it's totally accounted for. So that's totally it. But S Corp versus C Corp, I don't know 100% what all the differences are, but in limited liability companies, a lot of the basics is you're called a member, but in a corporation you have like president, CEO. You don't really have that as much in limited liability company, at least not like specifically. You have managing member, or that's the only member I know because my wife and I are both managing members, so I don't really know what the other ones are. The main thing that we're going to focus on here is S Corp. And Cole, if you want to chime in anything about your C Corp and why you chose a C Corp over an S Corp, I don't personally think that we'll move into one of these tax classifications, at least not initially. That might be something that we do over time, because right now, and we'll get to this in my timeline here in a second, let me just write down my thoughts, because my thoughts about YouTube, Amazon, freelance for Carissa. Man, I'm good at writing today. And holding. Hopefully I'll remember what that means when we get to that in a second. But as an LLC, I don't see myself changing that very much. The only thing I might change is how we're taxed. So right now I said we were taxed as a partnership. And that basically means it's similar to being taxed as a single member LLC, where the LLC's profits and losses will get passed through to us as the members of the partnership based on the percentage that we own of the business. So I own 50%, Chris owns 50%. So if the business makes a profit of $5,000, that'll be something that, because on I think it's a Schedule C that we'll do on our taxes. I'm not a tax pro, obviously, but the $5,000 will get passed down. If it's a $10,000 profit, $5,000 to each of our. If we were filing separately, we're going to file jointly. But if we were filing separately, $5,000 to each of us. If I own 60% and she owned 40%, I would get $6,000. She would get $4,000, and it would just pass down the tax liability to us, even though the financial liability for like debts and things will be wrapped up in a little, and debts as well as like suits and legal stuff will all be inside of that LLC because it's a different tax EIN. Entity identification number. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. But where this gets a little bit different is as a partnership or a single member LLC, you're going to take your payment in distributions. You're not going to get a salary. So whatever we take out of the business, past what we owe ourselves, like we talked about a second ago, will be distributions in the business. And so all the time, every time that we take out money, we're going to get taxed on it at whatever our income tax rate is because of how much money we make. Plus, we're going to get taxed on it. The FICA self-employment tax is what it's called. Basically, I'm going to try to use this right here. When you're working at a job, you and your employer both pay half of this one tax. It's the FICA tax. It subsidizes Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, something else. But it's 7.625, I believe, % for each of you guys. But when you become self-employed or you're running a business, then you are both the employer and the employee, so you end up having to pay 15.3% in that tax. And you get an eraser too. And so that's how we get taxed right now. The difference is when you get taxed as a corporation, things can look a little bit different. So maybe, and I'll explain why you'd want to change this right now, but as a corporation, let's say we'd probably go to S Corp. Honestly, forget the difference. I just know that that's probably what we'll end up changing to. But if we get taxed as an S Corp, then we will take a salary and then also get distributions, except the salary is the only thing that we're going to get paid as an employee. So let's say our company made $100,000 of profit after all expenses. That's what we're going to take out of the business. That's a dream scenario for me right now because this year our QuickBooks, because of how much expenses we have, luckily we're able to survive. It says like so far we've made like $4,000 total because we just reinvested so much back into businesses. So that's embarrassing. But let's say we make $100,000. I really got to get another whiteboard. Let's see what I got. Okay. Don't think I'm too wasteful for this. We got plenty of paper. But paper. We got $100,000. Both of us are going to be in the business. Let's say, and so we have to take a salary out of this. If we were just as a partnership, then that would be passed through to both of us. Since we are filing our income together, we'll just assume it's one tax return because that's what it is. And that $100,000 will get taxed at whatever the tax rate is. We'll just call it 15% of the base rate. I'm not exactly sure what the effective tax rate would be, plus the 15% of FICA tax, which would be about 30% in taxes. However, if we get taxed as an S corporation, we would take a salary, and then we would take distributions beyond that, like as a bonus payment and stuff like that. So our salaries, it would have to be a reasonable salary, which is classified by the IRS. They don't have like any guidelines for numbers on that, which is a little annoying, but they do say that you have to take a reasonable salary, so you can't take like a $1 salary legally. I know that that's gotten away with by other people, but you can't take like a $1 salary legally. So the salary that we would take, let's say we take like $30,000 each. That's a livable wage. That was for us at least, or we lived off of it. It might not have been a livable wage, but we lived off of it. So $30,000 each. So $60K is going to be a salary. The other $40,000 we're still going to take out of the business, but we're going to take it out as distributions. And so the $60K is going to get taxed at the effective rate, which probably, here's how it breaks down. The $100,000 is our total income. So $100K will be taxed at 15%, which is the income tax. But instead of getting $100,000 taxed at the 15% FICA tax, we're only going to end up getting 60% taxed at FICA taxes. So the $60,000. So the 60,000 times the 15% will wind up being $9,000 plus 15% of 100,000, which is 15,000. So we'll pay 24K in taxes, whereas before we paid 30K in taxes. So we'll save ourselves $6,000 by having a C corporation or an S corporation. Those are a little bit more expensive to handle just on like the state level of the filings you have to do, but that's when it becomes worth it. And that's why when we get to that point where we're able to take out a salary plus distributions, we will transition to being taxed as an S corporation instead of a partnership. But for right now, it's cheaper to do it as a partnership, so that's what we're doing because we're not making the money to substantiate that. Let's see. Got some comments come through. I'm going to eat a fry real quick. So sorry if people don't like eating on the stream, but I'm very hungry because I didn't get a lot of food after we ate lunch. So, cool. I already read that. Okay. So I'll be in Manassas, Virginia. I would love to invite you guys coffee if that's possible. Let me see where Manassas is. We're going to be in Virginia for a bit, but in some pretty specific areas. I'm not sure if we'll be up in that area, honestly. Up or down. But the other comments, let's see. I want to pay myself on a W-2 for healthcare purposes. I pay myself a low wage to qualify for Obamacare. I have a lot of healthcare needs and don't need to show a high income for anything yet. I won't be buying a home yet, so I'm good. This is completely legal. You should pay yourself a livable wage. Agreed. I think you commented that while I was going through all of that. If not, let me know. But that's exactly how I was explaining it. I'm not sure. A C corp has double taxation. Need to consider that when you have payroll. Gotcha. So maybe that's why I was thinking S corp. Not 100% sure. But yeah, that's definitely good. I understand that for the healthcare reasons, and that's why for us we were talking about this on a previous stream when I was talking about healthcare. I think it was last stream talking about the van budget. But that's one of the reasons why that is the main reason, because we have other income I think from this year, and we wouldn't qualify unfortunately for the lower area. Excuse me. But yeah, a C corp is double taxation. Tactical Z, love your videos, great content and video editing. Keep up the great work. I wish you much success in your business. Thank you very much. That is not a question. You can reinvest your salary if you need to. On your bookkeeping, it would be owner's equity, so you could take the salary but reinvest it into business. Yeah, absolutely. That's like a whole accounting deal to have to worry about. But yeah, you could take that owner's draw. Or, well, you could take the salary, which would be, right now we just do owner's draw. Like I explained, we don't have actually a salary, but you could take out the salary and then you could put it back in the business as owner's equity. So that's perfect. We probably just keep it out of the business though, honestly. Manassas, back to that. Yeah, it looks like it's in Nova. We won't be in that area. But thank you so much for the invite. So let's get on to what my personal experience was with all of this. Oh, this is kind of nice. Once we're done, we can move up and get more of this area. So, my timeline. So, I've started a couple businesses in the past. Not like businesses, but things that you could classify as businesses. And all of them have been sole proprietorships. Rakeem, what's going on? So, I did like woodworking and made some money woodworking when I was in high school and college. All of that was just taxed normally because I made over $600. I had to report it, but I didn't like get an LLC or anything for it because it wasn't a big enough deal where I thought that there would be any liability within it. I wasn't like hiring anybody else to do the woodworking where they could chop any fingers off, and I wasn't selling anything that was potentially dangerous to the end user. And so I didn't really worry too much about liability, like needing personal liability insurance, and I didn't have any assets to protect. And those are two main reasons, before we get into this, that you might need an LLC to start a business. Do you need an LLC to start a business? The title of this whole thing. But the answer is yes for you if you have assets that you have to protect. So you're either like independently wealthy, you have wealth from something else, then you should start an LLC, because then if someone sues your business, they won't be suing you personally. Whereas if you're operating your business just by yourself, you don't even need to file anything to be a sole proprietor. If you're just running a business and you're doing it by yourself and you have significant assets, then if someone sues you because of your business, because like maybe you sold them something, let's just, in the context of Amazon, you sold somebody something, it damaged them, you didn't have the Amazon insurance, or like insurance for general liability, then if they sued you for damages, then they could take your personal assets. And so if you had an LLC, they wouldn't be able to do that. They'd just be able to take whatever your LLC has, and whatever that is would be the max that they're able to take, as long as you don't like commingle your funds, in which case there could be something called piercing the corporate veil, where they could actually take personal funds from you. That's why you have to make sure that you have everything separate. Cool. I can't wait to get the business insurance through Amazon. Yeah, it was honestly. Oh no. I think this will be fine, but I have this marker in my hand, and I have a bad habit of like holding open markers in my hand, and just marked over here. So hopefully it'll come off pretty easy. Oh yeah, dry erase marker for the win. Easy enough. So, the other reason that you'd want to do LLC is, what was the other reason? Assets, or you're doing something that has a specifically high liability. So if you don't have a lot of assets personally, but you're running a business where you need to have, like, you're selling something that might be potentially dangerous, and you're worried about someone suing you for that, then you might want to start an LLC. Cole, might be a little strange, but it's very necessary. Yep, for sure. It's not too expensive. I did it. Yeah, $500 for the year. Yeah, mine was about that as well. I had to pay 3 months up front, so like $400 or $180, and then it's like $40 a month or something. So nothing crazy for the Amazon insurance. So back to my timeline. Oh, man, I thought I had something to erase with, but I initially started all those things, just did them as an LLC. But let's talk about actually starting a business that's gonna make money and like be livable for you, because that's what I just did it again. That one's even worse. Oh man. Okay, so back in July 2019, I started this YouTube channel. Oh, that's so bad. Don't go back looking for those videos because they're very bad. It was funny. I had a relative of mine just reach out to me recently, be like, "Hey, you should make a video about cutting your own hair again. That'll tie people back to the first videos." I was like, I don't want anybody watching those first videos. Why would I do that? But July 2019 is when I started my YouTube channel. I was intending to make money pretty fast and like make videos, basically just personal finance videos, helping people with their own money, because I'm really passionate about that, and having a good grasp on that can make you feel really confident in a lot of aspects of life. And so but I knew that I didn't really need anything fancy, so I just had a sole proprietorship for when I started to make money. Fast forward like a bunch of time, and I still hadn't made any money on the YouTube channel. So in August of 2020, last year, is when I started Amazon. And I initially started as a sole proprietorship just to feel out the waters, to see whether or not I would be able to make enough money to have it be sustainable. I put about $500 in some of the money that I had from reselling on eBay for a bunch of time, as well as put some money on a credit card just to see what would happen, test out the waters, and ended up my stuff got to Amazon and started selling good. And so I started going out and sourcing a lot. And within about 2.5 months, I was able to build up enough by just reinvesting always back into the business that I could stop reinvesting for a little bit. I would hold a tiny bit of debt because of what I was doing with credit cards and revolving them consistently. But I would be able to pull out $1,000 from the business, which would allow me to leave my job because that would cover the gap between what my wife was making and what our expenses were. So I started as a sole proprietorship, and pretty soon I realized, hey, I want an LLC, mostly because we have multiple different ventures that we want all under one roof, and we're going to use money from each of them to finance the other ones. And it'd be nice to have everything just separate from our personal finances, even though I opened separate bank accounts for the business stuff and I had like a bunch of regular bank accounts at that time. I still have a bunch of bank accounts, but not as many as I did then. Actually, I might have more. I think I have more. That's not good. But so we started as a sole proprietorship, but realized pretty quickly that we wanted to transition into another LLC, as corporation, and we realized LLC was probably the best thing because it's the cheapest, because you have to file with your state or whichever state you want your LLC to be formed in. We were in Florida, and we were fine paying their whatever they had there. There was no like corporate tax that we were gonna have to worry about because we didn't pay enough money. So we knew that we wanted to do an LLC, but I honestly waited. So I left my job November 8th, I think, was when I put in my 2 weeks, and like really was ramped up. I was making at that point in terms of revenue. I can't check. I can check. Let me see real quick what I made in terms of like sales, and we'll take that down by a third for the whole year of 2020. I'm checking inventory lab real quick because I made a decent amount of revenue, but this was all as a sole proprietorship because I wanted to change over to an LLC honestly on the first of the year, because you need to. If I waited until after the first, or if I did it before the first of the year, I was gonna have to spend another $300 in terms of a filing fee for the LLC, because you have to do that every year. But if you file for your LLC in the same year, you don't have to do it. So I filed January 1st essentially, and I was able to. My brain is not working right now. I think it needs food. I was able to What is wrong with me? Yeah, so I started all the business together. And that's mainly because we had the Amazon business, we had YouTube, which wasn't making any money yet, but we also had my wife's freelance, which was making some money. And so we put all those together under one roof because eventually, yeah, that's what this was for. I knew I'd mention it somewhere. So YouTube, Amazon, and freelance, because eventually we wanted to turn this LLC that we have into a holding company for other ventures. As the businesses start to make more money, like Amazon is making a decent amount of money, YouTube is making a decent amount of money, for the same reason that if you start to build up a certain amount of assets, you want to protect your personal assets from your business, so you create an LLC for that. We want to create separate LLCs so that if Amazon is like profiting 100K per year and I get sued and it wipes out that business because I don't have enough in the business to pay for the suit or whatever, then YouTube, if we are in just the one LLC thing that we have right now, would still be liable for that because it's in the same company. It's just another division of the company, so that can be wiped out as well. But if we make Amazon its own LLC and YouTube its own LLC and have them owned by the holding LLC, then there shouldn't be as big of an issue because there's probably not going to be something that they can sue the holding LLC for as long as we keep everything super separate. They'd have to sue the Amazon LLC, and then that would be protected from the YouTube LLC, but we'd still be able to pay ourselves pretty simply because it'd just be through one holding company. And so that's eventually what we're planning on doing. And I'm not exactly sure what revenue point we're going to do that at. It'll probably be similar to when we start taking money as an S corporation, because all the basically what we would do is we'd have freelance down here for my wife. We'd have YouTube and Amazon, and we'll just say this is holding company. And so the profits that each of these do, instead of paying ourselves, so what we do now is this is all under one LLC, and all of this just goes directly to us as profit. But instead, what we'll do next is this will be its own thing, this will be its own thing, this will be its own thing instead of all together, and they'll all pay to the holding company, which will then pay us. And so once each of these entities gets to the point where they're making a livable wage per year, we'll probably transition them into their own thing. But I'll be talking to other tax pros, and if or when I'm ever able to do that, man, that is a really dark spot on there. If I'm ever able to do that,
I'll fix it.
Chris said she'll fix it. I mean, I could too, but I'm also in the middle of the stream. I'll fix it after the stream. Don't worry. Maybe be a little worried. But yeah, once those all get to that point, there'll be enough to pay us separately, which means that they'll probably have enough income or assets that I'd want to protect them from one another, and we just have to do extra filings there. Yes, we got some questions, which is great. All right. So, questions or comments. Either one is perfect. So yeah, been hearing from people, good price range for the insurance. Yeah, $500 a year is normally what it would be. I get $1 million of liability for each one. Rakeen Mirza, Liberty Mutual is good. I personally have Hiscox, but it was just whatever they gave me. They allow you to sell food products as well. Nice. Some insurance won't let you sell pet food products, or toys. That's weird. Yeah, I know when you do it, like you can ask for restrictions, but you can also it'll ask you to click what you sell. Do I use credit cards that give money back on purchases? If so, which one? Cole answered, I have 2 company credit cards. Everyday expenses like gas and supplies, not sourcing, get charged to this account. This card is cash back. Second credit card is for sourcing only, and that gives me travel points. Is there a card I can get by using my EIN instead of personal Social Security? And Cole said Bank of America cards. No, you essentially have to lend your credit score to your company to be able to qualify for it. Yeah, in a sense, for sure. So what I've noticed is, I have a bunch of credit cards, honestly. I have 4 credit cards I use for business. A couple of them are personal. One of them is a business card. The personal ones I use specifically for business use so that the accounting is there and we're able to do it in a smart way. But I have 2 Wells Fargo cards and 2 Chase cards that I use. The Chase cards that I have are the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which is a personal credit card that I get 1.5% back on everything. I had used that one just for inventory. I'm not using it as much anymore unless I max out one of the other cards that I use just for inventory. And the other one that I use just for inventory is it's a Wells Fargo Active Cash card. It's a new one that gives you 2% cash back. So whenever I'm buying something, I'm getting at least 1.5 or 2% back on it. The other card that we have is the Chase Inked Unlimited card, which is their business card. When we applied for that, you do have to lend, like Cole said, your personal credit history to your company, but it doesn't report to your personal credit history. Some cards will, but most of them won't report to your personal credit history unless you start defaulting on things, and then they will. So as long as you make good payments, you shouldn't have to worry about it affecting your personal credit. Yes, Ricky, it would do a hard pull on your credit. It depends on the card. There are some cards that won't, and you can look all that up. I did that while I was researching a bit, but we just did it with Chase because that's who we have some of our accounts with, and we figured we'd have the best option. And they gave us like 250, 500. They gave us a lot of money to sign up, and 1.5% back on everything, and 12 months of 0% interest. And so as I'm sourcing and worrying about like cash flow problems, I have that card, the Chase inked, as 0% interest until February of next year. My active cash card has 0% interest for like 14 months from now, and my Chase Freedom Unlimited has 0% interest until December. And essentially what I do, I'm going to lay this out in another video, but I'm going to do it real simply here. This is like the video I've been teasing for a while, and I've just never gotten around to. But the way that I use credit cards is on a revolving basis. So if you have multiple different credit cards, you'll be able to consistently buy inventory and never pay interest. So I've had all these cards. I've carried about $3,000 of a balance perpetually on the cards, but I never paid any interest on them because of a couple different reasons. One of them is 0% interest. So the main reason is getting 0% interest cards. Most of them will be 0% interest for 12 to 15 months, and you can normally qualify for these cards now if you have like a 680 to 700 credit score. It just depends on the bank, and it's also better if you have a relationship with the bank because there's personal credit histories at all the banks. I used to work at a bank, so I know that like they have personal credit scores for you, and that'll also probably affect your credit if you're looking at getting business credit, since they do that. But actually that probably won't affect that, at least not in what I recall from having worked at the bank. But 0% interest cards are really nice because they'll give you a real long time to just carry a balance on the card and not worry about paying it off if you need to do that. But you should always, it shouldn't be something that you can't manage. Let's leave that there. The other main way is if you don't have a 0% interest card, if you have 3 cards that have the same credit limit and you have consistent spending, then you should be able to consistently pay them off without paying any interest, because this is card A. This is a great card. This is card B, and this is card C. If, say they all have a $3,000 limit, if month 1 I put $3,000 on this card for inventory because I spend like $750 a week, so $3,000 goes on this card for inventory. I have to send that inventory to Amazon. They have to sell the inventory, then that has to come back to me. But I still want to continue sourcing. So if I have the second card and I spend $3,000 on this card, then in month 2, this card will have its date that it comes due, and then you have 21 days, or it'll have a statement, and then 21 days after the statement, you'll have until you have to pay off the card. And so you essentially have like a month to a month and a half to pay off all these cards without paying any interest. So even if there is interest on these cards, you spend the $3,000, and then you spend the next $3,000 the next month, and then the money that you make from the $6,000 of inventory purchase will all go back to paying off this first credit card. And then you do that same thing with the last one. This definitely would require you to have some more consistent sales. So if you want to take advantage of this, I'd recommend either starting with a 0% interest credit card as one of these. This is what I have now. So I have a 0% interest credit card that I just maxed out and not worry about it, because I essentially don't have any debt if we look at the balance sheet of the business. But I do have debt because, and not just not the balance sheet, but the cash flow sheet, because the balance sheet would include the inventory as an asset, but like the cash flow sheet, because there's money just sitting at Amazon in my pending, and I have orders pending, and all that would be able to cover all the debts that we have. So I have a 0% interest card that I put all my purchases on initially and just leave them on there and make the minimums and pay everything else off and build up my inventory account, and then I'll be able to pay off in full eventually. And so that's just the very basic version. It's a little bit of a complicated system that I have all up in my head that I'm trying to figure out how to articulate simply in a YouTube video and not speak too fast like I always get the criticism of doing. But that's what it is. Yeah. Did you update your bank accounts when you upgraded to an LLC, or get all new ones? When I upgraded to an LLC, I got all new accounts because the accounts are different at the banks. Like using a personal account versus a business account are different. The second thing is it's a lot easier to find zero-fee personal accounts than it is zero-fee business accounts, at least all at the same bank. So right now I have 3 different banks for my business account, but that's because if you've seen one of my other videos, I'm a little bit nuts about how many accounts I have. That's because we have 3 different main divisions in the company, and I like having everything have very specific purposes for all of the money. I can just allocate it to at the beginning. So that's what I did. You will have to upgrade your accounts to business accounts when you have an LLC. There were some people when I was working at the bank that didn't have them, but that's another thing where you're using your personal social security number instead of your EIN. So I think if something was to happen, that could be considered commingling of funds. I'm not 100% sure, but that would be something that you'd have to look into, is upgrading to LLC accounts. The accounts that I have, just to let you know, I have accounts at Chase Bank, and those accounts are, I have three. I have two checking accounts, not that finger, and one savings account. The two checking accounts are for my taxes, because the way that you don't have to pay any fees is having $2,000 or more in an account, spending $2,000 or more on the Chase card that I have, the business credit card, or doing like quick pay transactions, like accepting cash and like they'll charge you fees for it. I don't do that. So I just make sure I have $2,000 in that account. We used to spend $2,000 on the Chase 8 card because I was using that a lot for inventory, but now that I have the new card, not using that as much. So I actually transferred more from the tax account into the other account, which is the income account. So all money that comes into the business goes into that main checking account, and then it'll be dispersed from there. So everything from all of our sources of income goes in there. Then I have a big sheet that I'm coming out with a video on. It's a relatively complicated system, but it'll go to all of our other accounts. And then the last one is the savings account that I have for inventory money, and because you can withdraw from that 6 times, and I'm basically just putting in money, and otherwise I could take it out a couple times a month to just pay off credit cards to buy more inventory. The other place that I have accounts is BB&T, which is now Truist, because they had 0 fee business accounts as long as you do 50 transactions or less. So I opened 6 checking accounts there for operating money, for my YouTube channel, for Carissa's freelance business, and for Amazon. And so like anything that is operating expenses, like boxes and stuff, all my subscriptions, all that money will go into those accounts, and then it'll get transferred when it needs to pay off credit card into another account that I have just to pay off credit cards. That way it's a little bit easier than making bunches of payments on credit cards. When I have an expense, or normally every week or two, I'll go through and I'll transfer money from, let's say I like buy boxes or something, it's $12 to buy boxes, and then I have to buy tape, and that's $8, it's $20. So every few weeks I'll go into my reselling operating account and transfer that into my credit card payoff account. And then once the credit cards come due, I'll end up sending that money to whichever credit card needs it. The last one we have over there is our profit account. And the profit account is for, oh no, there's 2 more. There's profit and retained earnings. We don't use retained earnings much anymore. We still put some money there, but that's just for like later expenses of the business, saving some money in the business so that we can use it down the road for any bigger upgrades. And our profit account, which is just money that we use more as a, if we think back, if a lot of you guys were there for when we talked about like a S corporation where you can pay yourself salary plus disbursements. That's more of a disbursements kind of thing. That's just paying ourselves for owning the business than doing work in the business. And it's just like a bonus account. We'll take bonuses from there. It's not a lot that we put in there, but that's just like fun money that we want to use. So we use that, like, for example, we used some of that to get some lobster in Maine when we were up there because it was like $8 for a meal. And then we bought a really trash meal and we had to buy another meal. So that was a pain in the butt. But then the last place that I have accounts is called Blue Vine, which is where we have our owner pay account. Ooh, excuse me. Our owner pay account, which is where we get paid out of. And so all the money will flow into there, and that's what we'll pay ourselves. And that account has a 1% APR. So if you only need one account, I don't know why you'd only need one account, because I would at least recommend having a separate account for taxes. But if you somehow only need one account, Blue Vine's pretty good. They give you free checks, they give you a debit card and everything, and you get 1% interest. I think they're dropping it to like 0.5%, but it's still way better than most of the places. Let me grab some water real quick. I'm sorry. That was probably very attractive. Whoa. Cole is coming in with all the answers, I'm guessing. Very important. Check your emails regularly and also your mail, because sometimes they'll send you offers to negotiate your APR. Oh, that's great. I don't necessarily... Yeah, that's really cool. I never pay any interest, so I normally don't worry about APR stuff, but I think ours and our business card is something like 13 or 14%. After it's 0%. Every bank's different when it comes to pulls. Usually it's a hard pull. When I got my first card, they promised me only a 6-point drop to my credit. It was right, because that's weird. That's very weird. There should be no way that they'd be able to promise that. That's really weird. Do mine slightly different. I consider the due date the date that I received my statement. That's just me personally. I have a buffer of $10,000 for my credit card that has $11,000. So I actually request my money from Amazon daily, and each week I make a payment to my credit card. Is there anything like that you found that's like weird about requesting your money daily? Because I've seen that you can do that. I just haven't personally done it. I'm not like, I don't feel like I need to get it daily because of the way that I handle everything. But if there's something better about it, let me know. So I actually request my money from Amazon daily. Each week make a payment to all my credit cards. If I'm waiting for money to become available and don't have anything to put towards the credit cards, then I use the buffer cash. I do have separate account, but all the same bank. I have a main account the income goes to, and then everything gets redistributed to my Amazon or savings. Yeah, that's perfect. That's definitely the way to do it. I walked into Chase. You should have seen the banker's face. I walked into Chase. I was like, hey, I want to open 15 business accounts. She was like, she was very mean. She was like, she looked at me like I was stupid. Like not even asking for explanation. And even when I explained it, she like didn't quite understand why I would want that. And it's just to have everything be managed more simply. But it is what it is. So, moving on. Taxes. Taxes are fun. I think we actually talked about taxes more when we talked about at the very beginning, like being taxed as different things. Oh, that's where that went. It's under the camera or my phone. And then, yeah, if you do have a sole proprietorship, the only thing that I would say is like beware of your finances specifically. It can be really, it can get convoluted, and you definitely like. There's not going to be the same level of like you needing to have your money separate. But if you're trying to build something out of your business, ideally you'll want your business to pay for everything in the business, your revenue to pay for all of it. So if you do have a sole proprietorship and you're thinking you ever want to upgrade to an LLC, I would just start by having separate accounts. You can get those accounts at the same bank. We had all of our accounts pretty much at one bank, and all of the money would be distributed through them pretty much in the same system that I use now as an LLC, just to kind of get practice with that and make sure that the business was paying itself. You can transfer money in between all the funds, like legally. That's fine, but I would just recommend not doing that necessarily. And then, yeah, personal credit cards for business. I think we pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. I just rather not have Amazon holding on the funds. Yeah, that's fair. I'll probably, I don't know. I kind of am too lazy to request them every day, and like don't necessarily feel like we need to. That's good. Well, cool. I think that's mainly the things I wanted to talk about in terms of like needing an LLC to start a business. Because the short answer is really no, you don't need an LLC to start a business. The long answer is if you have money or you're doing something that's really risky, then you probably should have an LLC or something else that'll transfer the ownership of the account from you to something else. But yeah, it's 45 minutes in. You can request it on your app. Yeah, I saw that they did that 2 days ago, that they upgraded that. So I'm pretty hungry, and normally these will go like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so I'm gonna make some ramen because someone commented here. Let me show you. When I made, oh, it's about to get trippy. Look at that. When I made the post about this down here with the massive amount of 1 likes, we had someone. So yeah, let's chat about all this. Also, did anybody actually read all that stuff in there? Probably not. But someone commented. Oh no, that was this post. Sorry. They commented, Joe, how to eat ramen. I don't know why that was the suggestion. I don't know what on my channel would make you think that I'm a how to eat ramen channel, but I'm also just very hungry right now. So we're actually gonna make some ramen if you guys just want to hang out. But I understand, whatever. So we'll leave the stream. Honestly, this will all probably get cut from the channel so I can go in and trim the live stream. So unless there's something super interesting that y'all want to talk about, let's make some ramen. But I would love to get any questions or answers about anything, van, life, work, or nothing at all. So this, I should probably tell you how I make this stuff. It's kind of becomes more second nature, but it started off really weird. This is a Jetboil, which essentially you screw this thing on top of this Coleman stove, or not this Coleman stove. Actually, this is blended fuel. It's like propane and butane. I'm actually gonna use this one because it's new. The other one takes forever to boil, but this will boil this little thing, this Jetboil thing, real fast. You know, some of those fries, dude, I wish I could give them to you. We got them at one of our favorite spots here in Lynchburg. It's a Mediterranean place. And then I should fill this up with water. I'm very prone to lighting this and like letting the gas go before I actually fill this up with water. So I should probably fill all that up with water first. And it's about to get loud because we have a pump that's just really noisy. Well, I should probably turn it on. But yeah, this is how we boil water, which is to cook like ramen stuff as well as cooking Or like coffee, not cooking coffee, I guess. Oof. Oh, that's definitely overfilled. But that's okay. Alright. And you just light it. Pretty simple. Basic. Boring. Whoa! Let me see the other one, which has way less fuel in it. And it does not go nearly that high. I feel like that almost reached up to... Oh, that's such a better sound than the other one. The other one's like dying. Cool, I think I saw... Did I exit out of the video? I totally did. Of the live stream. Cole said something that I missed because I'm silly. Okay. Dawn, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. Have I gotten engaged in Nike yet? No, I haven't gotten engaged in Nike yet. I probably should. I just haven't necessarily cared. I feel like I've been lazy to do a lot of things. I mean, I guess it's lazy, but it's also like I don't need to, so I haven't, and I've been really comfortable not needing to. But also, which ramen? Do we only have chicken ramen? Man, we used to have good ramen. Do we have any other ramen, Chris, or is it just chicken ramen?
You use the packets?
What do you mean? The packets, yeah. Use some flavor. It's like MSG. It's good stuff. Okay. But, yeah, this is one of our grocery doors. We just got groceries, so we're going to have food because we're heading into the national parks tomorrow for a bit. And then... No, but I haven't gotten engaged in Nike yet. Cole, I only went full-time for like 2 weeks? How did you deal with the anxiety of waiting for sales? What do you mean? Wait, so you're stopped? I thought you went full-time last week. Did you stop being full-time? I'm confused. How to deal with the anxiety of not getting sales? How did I deal with it? That's not a past tense question, man, to be honest. That is something that I am like perpetually dealing with. But I don't know. One of the things that really helped me is realizing my numbers. So I talk about numbers a lot. I'm like a math guy, but that's really like what's going to be the key for making sure that like you're comfortable with your business. I think we talked about this a little bit before, but I understood that in my business, I get back. Oh no, that's my drain. I'm such a mess. So I realized in my business, I get back 55% of sales turned into my revenue after Amazon. After Amazon, my handwriting gets worse and worse. And from my revenue back from Amazon, maybe it was 50%. I don't remember. But I think, yes, so 55% of my sales becomes my revenue after Amazon. And then I think, just for simplicity's sake, 50% of my revenue is buy cost. So that's what I have to pay back my inventory on. And the rest of it is going to be stuff for myself to like profit, essentially. Part of that profit we're going to pay back Amazon. I think it was 55%. Yeah, 55% was buy cost. So I started doing 60% of all my shipments would go back in terms of inventory, just to make sure that I had a little bit of a buffer here, and to pay off some of my inventory debt since I put it on a 0% card, and eventually it would need to be paid off, obviously. And so 60% went towards inventory. Right now I'm at like 61.5. For a little bit I was at 65, and I'm going to be a little higher because I start making more money on YouTube. Thanks to all y'all. Thank you so much. But the 60% went towards inventory, so the rest of it had to pay myself, operate the business, and all that jazz. And so I knew essentially that I needed to make, because I realized that if I'm going to be taking out about 25%, which is what I take out to pay myself. Ooh, that's boiling. Oh, that's so hot. I definitely put in too much. All right, hiatus for the ramen. So, also, I'm not going to be cooking it like in the stove. The way that I make ramen, especially nowadays, takes a little longer, but it's totally fine. Throw ramen in there, a little bit of chicken flavor. I do strain it out though for the most part, and then throw all the water in. So essentially, what I'm saying is, I'll take 25% of whatever my revenue is, and that will become what I use to pay myself. And so if I'm paying myself 25% of my revenue, and I know that my revenue is 55% of my Amazon sales, we can reverse engineer that. And this is something that you could figure out based on your like past sales and payouts and everything. So we can reverse engineer. I need to pay myself $1,000 a month. That's right now when I'm taking it out of the business because we have other profit. It was $1,050, but let's say I need to pay myself $1K per month is what I need to pay myself. We're gonna remember 55%. We're gonna remember 25%. I'm gonna erase that real quick. So let's start with what I need to make, which is $1,000. And I promise this will get back to what your question was. But $1,000 is what I need to make. And if $1,000 is 25% of the revenue that I get after Amazon sales, then that means that I multiply my $1,000. Or do I divide it? What do I do? That means, okay, I need $4,000 of revenue because 1,000 divided by 25%, because you would take, there's a reason for it. I think it's just kind of intuitive. I've lost my math brain. I used to be really good at math, but I totally lost it. But if I get $4,000 in revenue, then I'll get $1,000. $1,000 will be 25% of that. So that means my revenue, bless you, needs to be $4K. And if I know that my revenue is $4,000, or if I know that my revenue is 55% of what my sales are on Amazon, that means that, we'll just do basic algebra. So sales on Amazon times 55%, so 0.55, equals 4,000. That's why I was able to do it. So sales equals 4K over 0.55, or 4,000 divided by 0.55, which if we do some quick math on the computer, because my brain won't catch up, 4,000 divided by 0.55, we get that is $7,272 in sales. So that's how much I know I need to make over the course of the month in order to pay myself. Where is my thing? Was it? Oh, here it is. So we'll just say $7,500 to be a little bit generous. So that $7,500 normally is going to come over a 30-day period. So $7,500, that means I can realize how much I need to make per day. So $7,500 divided by 30 is equal to 20. I'm so sorry. $250. So that means I know that my daily sales should be $250 at the current ROI that I'm making, and it's been relatively consistent for me over the amount of time that I've been selling on Amazon. But if I'm over $250 in sales, then I know my sales are good, and that means that for the whole week, I know that if my sales are $1,750, I should be fine. And so that's helped me to stress a lot less, because if that number is nebulous, or you don't know what that number is of how much you should be making, then it's a lot easier, at least for me it was, to stress out about how much do I actually need? I'm not selling enough. Maybe and a lot of that comes from like, I'll have one day. Oh, that's pretty steamy. Like last month, and I've been dealing with this a lot recently, even though I know my numbers, because I know my numbers right now. Like I'm selling about $350 a day average on Amazon. But last month or 2 weeks ago, I had a day where I sold $750, and so now I'm chasing that high, and I'm always trying to get back to $750. And if I didn't know what my numbers were, I'd be like, oh crap, I need to hit $750 in sales. Otherwise, like, I'm doing something wrong. And that's how I've like felt internally, even though I've known I only need to hit, I say around 275 just to be comfortable. And so even though I've known that I've only needed 275, the fact that I hit 750 that one day makes me feel like, oh, I should always be hitting that. What if I was always at 750? Then I could make this amount of money. Whereas realizing what I actually need to make was very, very helpful for me. The other thing that's a lot more practical for you is if you're at that number, or you're like right around that number, and you shouldn't be worried about it, or if you're worrying about Amazon for like some reason, it's like, well, I haven't sent in a shipment in a week and my sales are down, but you just sent in a shipment and you know that once your shipment gets there, you'll start selling more. It's like, okay, there's an obvious cause and reason for this. And so it's helped me in those situations. I just take the app off my phone, and that's helped me. Like sometimes I'll re-download it, but having the app off my phone has helped my anxiety levels so much. Hope that answers your question. But that number thing is like the key to me for really running the business successfully. All right, I'm gonna get to some of these other questions. Oh, it's still hot. I'm so stupid. Let me show you the other way that we cook food in here, and that is back in the food drawer. We have butane and this little camp stove, because we're gonna have to make some accoutrement at home. Because you can't just have regular ramen. That's boring. Okay, so question. We'll fry up an egg. Got some spring onions. It's gonna be the best ramen you've ever seen. I would pan fry the ramen, but I have to cool it down first, and I don't have time for that. Alright. Amy, bye if you're still here. Sorry that I responded so late. Um, yeah. How long did it take me to get a repricer, Cole? I got a repricer pretty much immediately, honestly, because once I first sent my first shipment in, I was like, I'm gonna be selling more than $40. It's like, I should. Like, I was repricing it manually, and I was like, this is kind of a pain in the butt. And it was more out of like, this will really help maximize my time, because ultimately reselling for me was something to buy back my time instead of something to make a lot of money, which is why, like, you'll see now, like, there's so many guys on the internet who sell so much more than me, and I'm totally cool with that because I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm just trying to make how much I need to make to be comfortable with the living that I have. Also, this is where our fridge is. And apparently shoes that need to go. So repricer. That's what it was about. Sorry. So I initially got the repricer because I knew it would save me time, and it definitely paid for itself. Except the repricer that I initially got was Repricer, which is kind of the one that you've probably heard about like books. If you've heard about books before, ooh, Chris went shopping today. That's nice. I didn't know about that. But for the Repricer, I got that one at the beginning, and then I made a series, a playlist, which is just 2 videos of me trying to find a new Repricer and then getting Be Cool and like testing it out for 3 weeks. And I have Be Cool now. I have ooh, this chicken. I might just put some chicken in there. I don't know. But I tried it out for a couple weeks, and Be Cool has been like a really, really good thing for me. I'm a silly boy, and I can't believe I said that. I always forget to actually reprice when I set my stuff in, because I like to set my repricer based on ROI limits, and so I don't set the parameters, so my stuff just stays at the price that I initially put it at. And a lot of times I'll still get plenty of sales. Like, I'm still selling fine. Here, let me show you what I'm at today. Oh, and Cole, back to your other question. Like, today was one of those days where I was really stressing because when I started the stream, set 8 o'clock, I was only at $150. But I know for the week I'm already starting every day, averaged over $300. Like, it's not a big deal if I have a low day. Yeah, right. Today sucks. And like, I know the reason for that more than likely. Like today, $170. And I know that the reason more than likely for that is that I don't have my repricer on a bunch of items. And when I started selling, the competing repricers were like, oh, this guy's selling stuff. We should reprice so that we can beat him. And they did. And I have just been too lazy to reprice mine, or like, not lazy, too busy. I was doing that whole shipment back there today. I gotta find an egg. Sorry, that's why I'm rambling.
At the very bottom in the back.
Oh no. Okay. Okay. So, but if you're needing to get a repricer, Cole, you can use the link that's in my description for Be Cool. You will get, just let them text support. I think I put it there. Email them and let them know that you use my link, and they'll upgrade your trial from 14 days to 30 days. It was kind of silly. They gave me the option to only do a 14-day trial. They're like, if you want to get your commission faster, and I was like, why would I wouldn't understand that. So if you want the trial, get the 30-day trial. They'll upgrade you, and you'll get upgraded from their $50 plan to their $100 plan for that 30 days. You don't need to give them your credit card information or anything. But if you do stay on after that, whatever level you're at, I do get the kickback, obviously. But yeah. Oh, actually, Sergio, you're right. I think not using my link, they have a special link. So don't use my link if you're going to sign up with BeCool right now. I think they have 2 months free. Actually, I don't remember. I think they have 2 months free, but it's on the back end of your annual plan. I'm not 100% sure. I would look into that. I would look up the 2 months free Be Cool deal. It might be a better deal than the one that I have in the description. Or maybe you can do both. If you contact support on their page, you can see if you can use my affiliate link and get the 2 months. Either way, whichever one is best, you could try them out and don't have to pay them, and just get a free month worth of repricing if you don't want to stay on with them. But you can put some spring onions in the ramen and cook up some other stuff and answer some other questions. I did not think that it would be. Frick. 1 second. Sorry about that. Hey, Cole, do you want to be a moderator by chance on the stream? I'm going to add you as a moderator if you want. Because a couple streams ago, like a while ago, we got some really bad troll people in. I'm going to change one of the settings real quick to put everything in timeout mode. If you don't want to moderate, you don't have to moderate. I just set you there, but I hid the chat. I'm just going to make sure that they can't spam us again, which is really freaking stupid. Sorry about that. I also did not think that making ramen would be so hard. It's just ramen, but it has been. Okay. I'm going to add a slow mode, so if you are trying to respond within 10 seconds, just know that there's going to be a 10-second delay. That way, those spammers can't come and spam again. Thank you, Cole, so much. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. That's really frustrating. So yeah, Repricer, I would definitely recommend it. Especially, I think the level of sales that I was at was, I don't know, I think I was at about $5,000 a month, over $100 a day, where I realized, hey, I don't want to deal with this crap. I'm gonna get out. We're just gonna do one egg today. I'm not too hungry, but I am hungry. Oh, now I have to put this Tetris back together in the fridge. Let's answer a question while I put the fridge back together. Don, lost the notifications. That's weird. A lot of people have been saying that. Fan Nomad, Earth, and Surf Treasure Ventures. Better to take your money as soon as it's available, because if Amazon suspend your account for any reason, they hold all the money within your account. That is a very fair point, and I am so stupid that I didn't even think about that. So I'm definitely going to start requesting daily payouts. You can request them in the app. That's cool. I was doing it part-time until 2 weeks. Left my job 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's awesome. Nike Superfly, what's going on? Been pretty good. Sending shipments daily, 24 to 50 units. That's awesome. And you're doing OA, I believe, right? So that's really cool. My shipments tend to be a lot bigger. There's a lot more units. So this, I think, is 300 or 400 units. So all in all, actually, if you guys want to, let me know in the chat if you want. We can actually go over an inventory lab what that shipment was in terms of like profits and buy costs and all that. And we can chat about how that went. But yeah, Sergio, be cool 2 months. Yeah, that's awesome. I think we'll do that for a second. I gotta put all this crap back. This is a mess. We got a lot of really good food right now. All right, but we'll do OA soon. Oh, cool. Doing just all right. I gotta ask then, Cole, why are you doing shipments every day? My just personal preferences. I think it's more so just that I started doing. I was doing Amazon, and I would take 2 days to source and then 1 day to ship every week, and so I got in the rhythm of sending in really big shipments instead of smaller ones. But for this shipment that I just shipped in, I didn't film the shipment because I've started realizing more and more as I stop filming stuff that when I film stuff, it ends up taking me about twice as long to do everything, including sourcing and shipping. So I haven't shipped as, so I didn't film this shipment. I'm trying to find a lot of videos to film that aren't necessarily just sourcing. Oh, this one's open. That aren't just like sourcing and stuff, because there's a lot of really good information that I think people need to understand in their businesses. So if you got any videos, ideas like that, because I will be doing 30 days of uploads here coming soon. But Chris is looking very judgmentally about how I'm packing this, since I'm in like 2 minds right now. Oh no. Okay.
You can leave the $5 thing. I'll eat that.
Oh, good. Okay. We had too much. We couldn't put a spinach in. Okay, let's see if this will close. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so I would do massive shipments then instead, because this all total was like $1,000 to spend over a couple different days. So I think total my sourcing for that shipment was like 8 to 10 hours, because I did about 6 for the video and the rest of it was not on video, and then I did only about 4.5 hours to do my shipment, which is really cool because I've actually started in Scoutify too to put my buy lists like while I'm in the store, while I'm actually buying the items. Now I'm able to double check like prices at the register to know I'm getting charged the right amount, and it saves me so much time on the back end because I don't have to. I'll instead of just buying stuff and then shipping it in. Oh, where's our knife? I will now just be able to buy stuff, or not buy stuff and then ship it in, buy stuff and then bring it into the van and then organize it and then catalog it and inventory it. Now I just do all that together and it saves me so much time. Man, I love spring onions, but these are going bad, so that is not good. Also, is our ramen doing good? Ramen's probably soaked long enough. What is your favorite store to source from? Taxability? That's a good question. My favorite one recently has been Staples, which is crazy because I've overlooked it for so long. I've just now realized how crazy much clearance they have and how like often everything. Oh yeah, that's good. And now he's trying it. So how much clearance they have and like the ROI on a lot of the clearance that they have. There's a lot of stuff that's like on sale or on clearance that isn't as good, but like I just spent today. I was in there for 40 minutes. I spent $200 or $190 at like 130% ROI. So if you have Staples close, I would recommend checking it out. And that's how it's been for me every time that I've gone into Staples since I started sourcing there in Rhode Island a month back. Oh, shoot, I forgot. So one of the things that's really funky about the van. Oh man, there's so many things you gotta learn when you live in the van. But you see how that's not really draining very well? That's because right now we're parked on an incline like this, and our drain is on this side of the faucet, and so gravity is not working, right? Well, it's working. It's just working against me. So that is funny. So funny. So yeah, Staples is my favorite right now. But one of the things I'm the most excited about, like stupid excited, and stupid that I am excited about it. You didn't see that. Actually, I'm on stream, so I'm gonna change the chapter. Just for posterity, I would not have changed that if I wasn't on stream. I would have just used it. But I'm going to be in North Carolina in like a week and a half, and there are going to be academies again. Academy was my favorite store forever. I love Academy so much, but there haven't been any academies down there up north. And the fishing section. I would spend so much money on the fishing section. I'll make so much money off academies, but then there haven't been any. So I'm glad that we're getting back to Academy. Light it up. Those are my two favorite stores by far. The one that I've spent the most on overall is Walmart. That one's always good. But yeah, Academy and Staples, mostly just because those are also the types of things I like to source, and they both normally don't have stickers. I love Ross's, Marshall's, TJ Maxx, but I hate taking off stickers. That's what takes by far the most amount of time in all of my shipments, which is always a pain. Yeah. Sorry I missed that question a second ago. Oh. Yeah. All right, well, when you come back to Boston to play some soccer, I don't know, it'll be a while, man. What's going on? I thought that the Superfly thing was a reselling thing, but now I realize who it is. Yeah, man, I wish it would be soon. I haven't been able to, I played some soccer in New York City, that was fun, but there's not been a ton of places that I found to play soccer. So if anybody here plays soccer, let me know. Except for in Boston, because I already played with y'all, and that was so fun. And whenever I come back, I'll definitely come back there, but yeah. When I was working and doing RA part-time, I ended up just storing everything in my storage unit, so I have a lot of stuff still. That's fair. Yeah, that was the biggest thing. When I was working, that's why, I mean, no one was watching my YouTube channel back then, but I had the YouTube channel, like I said at the beginning of the stream, from July 2019, and then I stopped the YouTube channel when I became a manager at Enterprise, assistant manager, because I was working like 55 hours a week and hate my life. And then I worked at a bank, and then I started the YouTube channel back up again, and then I started Amazon Resale Arbitrage, and I stopped because I realized, hey, if I just put some time into this, I'll be able to leave my job and do YouTube more full time, and like use reselling to buy my time back on YouTube, which is what I ended up doing. So, where did this all go? Oh, I have this. I'm very distracted right now. So, I can't turn that on. It's too loud. I'm going to open this up real quick. So I would do a lot of late nights. Chris, I don't remember that time very well. How much do you think I was working on my Amazon business while I was working at the bank? It was honestly all like kind of a blur. I think how many days a week do you think I went sourcing versus went and shipped my stuff?
I feel like you only went sourcing like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, 2 to 3 days a week I was sourcing after work.
Yeah.
I would be at work sometimes, or like in my lunch break, and I would like plot out a map of where I wanted to go, and then I would go there after work. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. The one thing that I wish we had in here a little bit was a wok, so I could paddle some of this oil back onto the top of that, because that's how you make the best fried egg. If you didn't know, you fry the egg on one side, and then you scoop oil onto the top of it. And, ooh, I forgot, I just put my finger right over the flame. And then it'll cook the top of it with the oil, but I don't have enough oil, and this is just a pan, so I'm going to have to flip this guy. Oh, there's so much oil in it. I'm gonna have to look this way. Okay. But yeah, and then I would ship it every little bit. Probably once a week I'll put in a shipment. I can actually look back on Inventory Lab. I'm thinking, let me know if this is a good idea, but one of the videos that I want to do for the 31 days of uploads in December is going to be looking back at my very first shipment. Or I'm going to do that as a live stream. Just looking back at exactly what those products were, as long as I'm not still selling them, and figuring out kind of why they worked, why they didn't work. Because there was some stuff in the video that I just posted yesterday that I had to just totally, that I had to liquidate because it didn't sell.
You definitely did shipments like every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks?
Yeah, stuff piled up.
I don't think so. Chris says every 3 weeks.
We're not good at sending in shipments.
I wasn't good at sending in shipments, but I think it was because it was only 2 months since I started doing it to actually leaving my job. I'm gonna look it up now. I'm gonna look at when my closed batches were from, the initial ones. Oh, that's a good looking egg. Let's take that out, throw it on the ramen. That's part 1. Oh no, we don't have any sambal! What a tragedy, but that's a pretty good start. What a tragedy, man! Okay, I'm looking here at the first shipments.
You're really starting with this ramen.
Of course, I gotta make the best ramen. First shipment I sent 8/31. Then I'll show you. Why would I just look at it? Sorry, I just put it right on you, babe. My bad. So the first shipments were August 31st, then September 2nd, September 4th. Oh yeah, September 9th, September 18th, September 21st, 27th. Yeah, I was sending shipments all the time. Dang. Yeah, so those are the first 2 months before I quit my job when I started Amazon, and I'm glad I remember that semi-regularly or reasonably, but
Maybe it was after.
after is when I stopped sending in as
Okay,
much.
yeah,
But I remember I was working so much when I was in that job. I would just go source and then I would ship a bunch. That's off, so that's good.
You can keep it out though.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah. I was working 6 days a week and it was hard to send shipments, yeah. Ooh, what were you doing at your job? And one of the deals I kept shopping, I totally get that. It's so much easier to send money than to send shipments in. I think that's kind of one of the nice things about living in the van, is that now that I'm in here, I have to send shipments in because inventory just piles up everywhere. Like imagine, this is the shipment packed. Now imagine what that would be like just in bags. And we do have an area in the back, but this plus the bin that I have to send stuff in wouldn't fit all in the back. So I had to move it up here. So that's how tight this all is, which is a pain. Ideally, I want to shop in the morning and then ship it in the afternoon. Dang. You're going to do that every day? I definitely, yeah, especially if you got that time and you've built up to a point that you can. One of the things that I'm going to start doing, mostly because of you guys badgering me to do it, in the good way, but is looking at doing some more OA of just finding people's storefronts, and I'll obviously make some videos about that for sure. I think. All right, let's finish. I can't believe I gotta have sambal. I have a 10x10 storage unit packed. Dang. Is there any reason you don't have sambal? It's all gone for sure. For sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, dang it. I thought that there was a little bit left. It's all gone.
Oh, this one.
But yeah, my question: why are you waiting to send in the inventory? Are you just shipping in inventory now, or are you still buying? Because I feel that you're coming up on the end of the time that you could ship it in to actually have it sell during Q4. Otherwise, I'll have to wait. January will still be all right because we'll have all the gift cards and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I would send it in now personally. But this is what our ramen looks like. Pretty cool. I am sad that I don't have the sambal. I'm going to cut up that egg, though, to make it a little bit prettier. But it's got the runny yolk, which is perfect. Oh, that's some good ramen right there. All right. Still sending in 1,200 units at Amazon. Are your restock limits too high or too low? Because my restock limits was they definitely lowered them. But once I actually started sending stuff in and it started selling, I was able to get it back up to now where I think it's what does not smell seasoned. Oh, your merchant fulfilling too. That's bold. I never did that. I never wanted to do that. I hated sending in eBay shipments. I couldn't even imagine doing the same thing for Amazon, especially because eBay is so much more lenient.
It's actually fixed.
Yeah, it's a good idea for the flakes. It's just not the same as my precious sambal. I love sambal. Chili flakes. Gotta put some salt on there. Just got back from playing today. Whenever you're back in Boston, you're welcome to come play. Thank you. 12,000 storage limit at Amazon, so 3,000 across the board. Dang it. That's a lot. I would get in everything you got for FBA. Okay. I was really hoping for that sambal. That's so sad. But it is what it is. Chris, you said that you were going to be sitting back down or using this again?
Yeah, you don't do it. I had
Alright. Okay, we gotta see if this is actually any good though. Now that it's all seasoned up. I'll eat that fried egg on anything. This is so good. Oh yeah. I'm happy. Alright. Oh, now where'd I put the thing? So I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about the LLC stuff. If anybody's thinking about anything that they have left unchatted, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna eat this and probably not force you to watch me eat it, because that would be a little gross. I think that is. I also need at least $10,000 a month gross. Yeah, that's similar to where I'm at. I try to aim for around $300 a day. Or $333, I guess, is where you would be at. But yeah, you could definitely knock that out, especially with all that inventory that you have sitting around. That's the thing that I'm trying to get better at is getting more inventory, more so. But yeah, that's cool. One last bite, and then we'll be off. I'll get a lot of egg in this guy. Good stuff. I hope that answers the question of how to eat ramen for someone who asked. It's delicious. Peace.